the state of the hobby. Ba ba ba.
Matthew, you're funny. Open up the OJ pop. It's Ham House. Come on. Welcome to Ham House. No such thing as too loud. We can't even slow down. We about to roll out. Welcome to Ham House. Time to take control now. Putting kids in time out before we pull our arrow out. Welcome to Ham House. Welcome to Ham House.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ham House Sports. It's Big Matt and Little Matt, and it's What's Up with Ham House Sports November. The state of the hobby. Ba ba ba.
Matthew, you're funny. So everybody right now in the hobby seems to be talking about the hobby. And as a father and a son who have chosen to engage in the hobby and get on video and talk about what we're learning, you can't not talk about it, but I hope to come at it from a different perspective because everybody right now seems to be addressing the panic, in the hobby.
Is the hobby in panic mode?
Yeah. Or is it the hobby dying and all these kinds of things? And it's fun. Like for me, I'm 41, getting ready to be 42. And I mean, I've been.
How many times have you experienced this? Because you've been in sales your whole life.
Well, I've been in sales my whole life. And so economy, the markets, I think back to, gosh, man, in the real estate market, when I was selling high-end real estate, I watched it just, and everybody was like, ah.
So is the market crashing?
Well, and it did crash, right? There was a bubble, and there was a mortgage bubble, and there was a lot of bubbles, right? And so that's a reality. But beneath all of this, we as people, enthusiasts, right, who love sports and who love sports cards, we are dealing in pieces of paper, cardboard, images,
that's
artwork.
Weird to think about. We are collecting pieces of paper that are encapsulated, whatever it's called, with plastic things with numbers on the top of it.
I mean, when you really get down to the reality of it, right? I talk to other adults in my life and they can't believe what's going on in the hobby, right? But the same thing, if you look at a Pokemon collector or a Lego collector or an old vintage game collector or people who collect sneakers or, whatever, people who do gardening. I mean, every single hobby, golfers, right? Golfers go out and buy a brand new set of clubs and it's $1,400 and I got fitted and whatever. I went and shot 92. I mean, it's just, there's an element of this where it's almost amusing because hobbyists, it's not a logical process, right? It's a hobby. It's for fun. How many people, when you really think about the actuality of I'm going to spend this amount of dollars and I'm going to get this for it. We don't think that way all the time, especially with things we love. We go to a movie, we spend $15. We go to a theme park, we go to a haunted house to get scared for money. We spend money on all kinds of things to get some kind of outcome. And so the card hobby is no different. We like sports, we like players, we spend money on cards.
Yeah.
And guess what? Sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't work. So
and right now it's not working out more than it usually did.
Well, I think there's been an insulated environment. Yeah, well, there's been an insulated environment over the past couple of years where people almost got lulled into a belief system that it was always going to be this way.
If you don't make money on a card, it's
Yeah, and so I think what you're seeing is people that were in the hobby for the hobby, people that were in the hobby for a business. And it is beginning to sift it out, right? Adversity always has a way of separating the true from the false, the real from the fake, those who have persistence and dedication and commitment versus those who are just in it for a quick flip.
Yeah.
When I was in the high-end real estate market, there were a lot of people who got out of the real estate business because they were just in it to make a quick buck. And they're no longer in the real estate business. So all of that said, I want to know from your perspective as I'm 41. I've been through this. But as a 13-year-old, like, how do you feel about the hobby right now?
Yeah, because I mean, I got spoiled in the beginning because it was like we were buying these cars, we were making money. I'm like, geez, this is easy. Money here, money there, money here. And it was like, this is easy. And now I think I'm finally getting a taste of this isn't all cupcakes and rainbows. This is actually hard work. And right now, the people that thought it was cupcakes and rainbows are now like, oh gosh, it's not cupcakes and rainbows. Now I have to actually try to sell my cars. I have to put them on consignment, eBay auction now. And you can see all the people that had to get out of the real estate. These people that are now realize it's not cupcakes and rainbows are like, I've seen maybe 10 posts in the past month. See ya cards, peace out. Like all these people that were only in it for the money and they're posting on Instagram story, hit me up for sale. See ya, I'm out. I put these on eBay auction. I'm gonna get my money. I'm out. And so I think that the hobby is very recorrecting because I think like Joe Burrow cards for the season that we're doing 4K, it just did 1,800. And Joe Burrow's had a decent year. Not a great year, but he's had a decent year. And so I think that the market is like showing what cards are actually what cards are actually valuable and what cards are not actually valuable.
Yeah, I think the ultimate reality is that so much of the sports card hobby is driven by hype.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's driven by the next thing, the next guy, the next investment.
And Desmond Ridder,
wave.
Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett were not the next thing.
But anyway, like aside from that, you also have to take risk, right, in order to be able to get a reward. And there are times when you can take a risk and get a good reward for it. But there's elements of that, like, okay, you got to be quick with it. You know what I mean? You can't sit on things too long. So there's so many things we could talk about. But I think you hit on a really good point earlier of this concept of
cupcakes and rainbows.
No, it's about being willing to like put in the work. Okay. So like, I'm going to relate this to golf because golf is kind of that recreational sport. No matter if you played in college or you didn't play in college, like you can kind of play socially now. Like, if you're trying to go out and be better at golf, then you've got to go out. Golf is a game where you have to have a lot of repetition, right? And it's very finesse. And the same thing is true in like any business, any industry. If you're going to do something, you want to do it well, you have to have a lot of repetition. You have to have a lot of discipline. You have to have a lot of these things. And in the card business over the last couple of years, it's been so easy because there's been so many people kind of coming in. It's been easy to do things poorly and still do well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now in life, you cannot do things poorly and do things well. You cannot be a plumber and, half-heartedly install a toilet that it leaks and explodes on people. And there's been a lot of, but in a housing market where things are booming, guess what? We'll hire any plumber because we just need a plumber right now.
Yeah.
So when you've got a card hobby that is so influenced by a lot of new people getting in, a lot of hype, a lot of money coming in, you can get away with stuff that you can't get away with now. And so to me, it's a season of exposure about the things that are sustainable and the things that are not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. And what's one of the things from the beginning of this whole deal that I've preached to you that you've argued with me about, but I still preach it to you? What would you say is the number one thing that I tell you, Matthew, you're going to do something?
Do it excellent.
Excellence.
Excellent. Like we have a whiteboard at Ham House Sports. And if you've been to the card cave at Ham House Sports, it's right on the wall. And he kept this word on there for 6 months, excellence. And in my school presentation, not even mine, at our school has these things called raised values. And they're a pack of 5 values. And I said, what value do you think is the most important? And then we had to make a chart about it and all the stuff. I said excellence because excellence shows you're putting in the work, that you're putting 100%, 110% into every single thing you do. And it, because life isn't all cupcakes and rainbows.
So my point in excellence is do it well.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it well. And over the past few months, the past few years, we've been able to get away with stuff. You buy the wrong card, that's okay. I can flip it. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily deal honestly or fairly. You cut corners or whatever. I can get away with it. In a tight market, in a tight environment, you can't get away with things. And so I think that's just kind of part of what's being exposed. But also, too, you're separating the line from those who are in this for the hobby side and those who are in this for the business side. If you're in it for the money, if it's greed driven, that kind of thing doesn't get sustained. So what did I write on the board this week?
Challenges. Because I'm a person that I like to see things like written down, because if he tells me, all right, do this, do this, do this, I work better than him telling me. So things he wrote.
So you said challenge me. Like, Dad, I started out 0 to 10,000. That's the challenge.
I want a challenge.
Yep.
And the challenge, I was saying, oh, he's going to go 10,000 to 100,000 or something like that. No, he gave me life challenges. And I think this is going to help me in the long run. Challenges he gave me: find the joy, find your joy. And I'm still searching for that right now, but I love making videos and I love giving interviews. So that's one thing I love. Then serve the Lord by loving others using the sports card hobby. That's something that we are both going to work on. Learn to hold your tongue. That is something I'm working on in life right now. And I'm going to be transparent. I don't know how to shut up with anybody. If I get in trouble in class for talking, I get in trouble at home for not shutting my mouth. And so that's something I'm working on in life right now. Shut my mouth. And do what you love. I mean, I remember the first thing I did, I was in the hobby, commenting on Lootbox TV's live stream. Hey, my name's Will Matt. I want a Tua Kaboom, all this stuff. And they're like, and I just got in the hobby and like, what am I at? They said, collect what you love. I said, I'm going to take that advice and I'm going to collect what I love. And that we've gotten some pretty decent cards that I love. Then be grateful for what you have, because you can't always go, oh, I have a SGC 3 1953 mantle. I want a 5. You sound like Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka. Shut up. I have a Chet Mojo Prism, but I want a Chet Gold. I want it now. No, you don't. Just shut up. Get off. Like, we don't want this. This is not cupcakes and rainbows. Just leave the hobby.
Well, I'm proud of you for saying that. I'm proud of you for admitting those things. So part of what we've been getting back to is thinking beyond cards and really pressing into life values. And, something Matthew and I have wrestled with lately, or even dreamt about, is actually starting a podcast where we can talk about the things, right, that you face in life. And one of here's another, in those 5 points you made, find your joy, do what you love, what I mean? Like, hold your tongue, like, learn to listen, and then, be grateful, like all these things. Like, those are great life values that you need to learn, whether you're in cards or whatever. But, you also have to understand that, like, life is more than just your hobby. And that's where, like, for you lately, like, one of the reasons why we haven't had as much time to be in the hobby is because you made your middle school basketball team.
I did. I made the middle school basketball team, which means I practice every single day of the week. And it's after school. And so I don't get home most days until 6 o'clock. And I have to eat dinner. I'll have youth group some nights. I'll have other practice. I'm just worn out. And so that's why I haven't been able to make videos. But we had off day of practice. So I said, Dad, let's make a video.
So the point is there's more to your life than the hobby, right? And if you're one of these people that you're looking for more to your life, like, that's okay. Like, but find something beyond the hobby that gives you value and that gives you something to pour into, right? So Matthew is, and the twins both, like, they play travel basketball, they play school basketball, travel baseball. Like, we have a lot of different things in our family. We also are very engaged as a family. We have a lot of family activities. You have friends and stuff like that. So it's good to have things beyond the hobby to press into, especially if you need to take a break. And so that's a little bit of, like, why we've been, in a season of, like, transition. But backing up, we prepared, like you said, Matthew, earlier.
I said this. I told you, I said, Dad, it's like a hurricane. We live in North Carolina, so we don't have tornadoes or anything, but it's like a hurricane. I feel like we boarded up the doors. We've got the gas for the generator. We've gotten the food and water that we need. But how I would use that analogy to cards is, right, this is the generator. Everybody is scared of the storm coming in, which is the market crashing. But that's the thing. We love that card, and we are going to keep it.
And this is to a rookie ticket auto.
PSA 10.
And I'll talk about this in a second. But like, I think what Matthew's getting to here is like, you know, always go back to your baseline. Like if cards were to go away tomorrow, what would you still be jazzed up about, excited about to own or to collect? And so you've kind of got to go back to that root. And so, you know, if you've got too much exposure in football, sell off some football. You know, if you got too much exposure in basketball, sell off some basketball. You've got to be willing to plan and be willing to adapt. But the thing
I read this, and you said find your joy, and I wrote this. I'm gonna be honest, like I haven't been able to find my joy recently because it's just been tough because I haven't been able to like be consistent on posting cards and listing on eBay and stuff like that because I had basketball. But I went back to like what made me happy when I was last year dealing with $200 cards. Like what brought me joy then? So I'm trying to think like just go back to the basics because everybody always says like, oh, I wish I could be a child again. I'm like, man, do I wish I was a kid collecting $200 cards again? Like I want to go back to what actually made me happy because I was jazzed buying $300 Devontae Smith cards on eBay. And like Matt Levine came on here and I remember him saying, dude, I was 12 years old in my room bidding on Justin Upton patch autos and I was having the time of my life. And now you see all this corruption in the hobby and it's like crazy. So go back to buying your Justin Upton patch autos, you know, and like what made you happy in the beginning? Like
and this is the deal for me. So when I was a kid, and I want to show you guys something here. So, you know, going back, this is one of the things, and I'm a 41-year-old man. I'm a dad. These are ticket stubs from the 1991 All-Star game. When I was 10 years old, my mom and dad took me to the All-Star game in Toronto, Canada. These are ticket stubs for the Home Run Derby and the Celebrity Day or whatever it's called. As well as the actual game. Okay. It was called the Workout Day and All-Star Game. So Cal Ripken Jr. was my guy in 91, and he won the MVP there. And he also won the Home Run Derby. And so I got to see that in person. So I went back to my mom and dad's house or I told my mom to go look. She keeps all this stuff. She's awesome like that. And she had these ticket stubs. These are the actual ticket stubs, right? And so I said, you know what? When I was a kid, man, that was awesome. I got to go to the All-Star game. And in addition to Cal Ripken Jr., the guy that I love to watch was Bo Jackson. And so this is a PSA 10, or excuse me, SGC 10 of Bo Jackson's classic Bo card from 1990 score. And I went and we bought this, which is a very low pop Bo Jackson classic card. He's in his Auburn uniform, but he's got the shoulder pads on. And then I went and picked this up the other day, the Bo Breaker card from 91 score when he broke the bat over his knee.
SGC slabs or so.
And an SGC 9.5, right? Now, listen, this card was $31, okay? This card we found in a lot and got it graded. We're into this card for $30. Whereas this one is a more expensive card. We got this one for like $600, okay? But the cool thing about it is those are part of my personal collection. They remind me of my childhood. They bring me life and they bring me joy. Here's another one, a 1953 Jackie Robinson, right? Like those are cards that kind of get me jazzed up and excited.
Dude, just looking at this card, like a year ago, who would have thought we'd done a Jackie Robinson card?
It's crazy. And so part of what it takes going through a difficult moment is resetting yourself and remembering why you got into it, remembering what brings you joy.
I want to go off this because I'm just having a moment of reflection right now, like thinking about how a year ago, the happiest I ever been was I pulled this card, and it was a Tua, not even rookie. Like now, it's everything has to be, it has to be rookie card. Can't be orange for illusion because that's not a good parallel. Like, you don't know how jazzed I was when my brother pulled that card a year ago. It was on my birthday too. And so I'm just like having a moment of reflection going like, be grateful for what I have because I never thought I would have this in the first place. Because if I even thought I would have this card a year ago, that's just wild. So I'm glad we did this video tonight.
Yeah, and it's the reality is a lot of folks need to reconnect to the things that bring them joy, and they reconnect to the things that make them happy. And I'll tell you what, I didn't bring them on camera today, but like we got a mail package today from Parker Waldrop and his family in Texas. We've graded some cards for them. I've known Parker. He made some custom cards of the Rockford Peaches from A League of Their Own, the movie, and he made them in the 1953 style. And it's like Jimmy Dugan and Dottie Henson. And he sent it with a handwritten note. And he just said, hey, man, I really appreciate you guys. And so, you know what? At the end of the day, the hobby is not about how much you can make. It's not about how much you can go from 0 to 60,000, or it's not about creating a business that you can like, whatever. Like that's all good. But ultimately, if you're not in it for the things that bring you joy, if you're not in it for the people, if you're not in it for connecting with, you know what I mean, people, and for me, connecting with Matthew, that's one of the things I told Matthew, like, buddy, we need to connect like on the things we love again, instead of getting so caught up in this world of like, you know, profitability and flipping this and who's the hottest. Like, just let all that stuff kind of subside. And if you're in it for the right reason, with the right heart, with excellence, with gratitude and joy, like it will work out in the end. And so that's what I just stand by. That's what I've been teaching Matthew and reminding myself of. And if you need to take a break, go reset, find your joy again, find your gratitude, and you'll come back to the table and you'll be that much more encouraged and a better part of the hobby, honestly, than just being jaded and cynical and angry and frustrated and whatever else that comes with it.
Yeah.
So anything else?
I think that's it for today, but this was a good video, I feel like. And just the advice, I know all the videos. Anything else, Matthew? There's something else. Just remember those 5 things, and remember that I read this Bible verse the other day, and it was the Lord's strength comes from your joy. And I think that's something to do with it. And so, like, the Lord gives you strength based on your joy. So the Lord's not going to...
The joy of the Lord is my strength.
The joy of the Lord, that's what it is. The joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah.
So I think that we just all need to be joyful in a time of just the hobbies. Oh, we can't sell cars. Just, you know what? Go buy a car you love. Go buy a $31 Bo Jackson on eBay. You know, go look at your old cards from when you were a kid and just say, man, I love this hobby. So that's something I want to encourage y'all to do. Just go look back on what got you started in this. So that's Big Matt and Little Matt signing out. What's up with Ham House Sports? Peace.
Peace.